A couple of years ago in Washington, D.C., the Museum of the Bible opened. And it's one of the places that I've had the privilege of taking some of our students from school. And in the Museum of the Bible, there are lots of wonderful exhibits. And if you're ever in Washington, D.C., I would encourage you to take the time to visit. But my favorite exhibit is a journey through the Old Testament, and using different types of visual and audio effects, it traces the story of God's redemptive plan from creation through the end of the Old Testament. And it's really well done, and it's very moving as you think about this was God's plan all along. Even when people rebelled, even when they sinned, even when they walked away from Him, He was faithful. The first time that I went through that exhibit, the thing that impacted me the most happened right after we walked across the River Jordan. And there was this, through using special effects, they gave you the impression that you were walking through on dry land while the water was up on the sides of you. And then as you came around the corner, there was suddenly this big monument, this pillar of 12 stones with the 12 names of the tribes of Israel on them. And it was that reminder of what Rick talked about in the message this weekend, of how the people of Israel were commanded to take stones from the middle of the Jordan and make a monument, so that when their children asked, "What are these stones?" they would be able to tell the story of how God had been faithful, how God had preserved them, how God had delivered them. Personally, as I walked through that river and turned that corner and saw that monument, what I was flooded with were memories of God's faithfulness in my own life, of how He had brought me through, of how He had saved me, of how He had been faithful to me even when I had been unfaithful to Him, of how He had provided for my family, of all of His blessings. And it was really a wonderful experience, but this tremendous reminder of who God is. And in Joshua chapter 4, as they get to Gilgal and Joshua sets up this memorial, here's what he tells them. He said to the sons of Israel, "When your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, 'What are these stones?' then you shall inform your children, saying, 'Israel crossed this Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you had crossed, just as the Lord your God had done to the Red Sea, which He dried up before us until we had crossed. That all the peoples of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty, so that you may reverence the Lord your God forever.'" It wasn't just a reminder, it pointed to something greater. It pointed to the fact that God is mighty and that He is able to take us through those Red Sea moments, those Jordan River moments of our lives. When things seem impossible, our God is able. And so, as Rick mentioned this weekend, I would encourage you to create monuments, to notice God working, and then to make your own monuments, whether that is a journal, whether it is something physical, or just, and then to tell your story, to tell people about how God has been faithful to you. As we share who God is and what He has done for us, we point people to the fact that God is mighty and that He should be reverenced forever.